Hello, and welcome to StudyNeuro. In this presentation, we will explore the anatomy that underpins degenerative cervical myelopathy, focusing on the cervical spine, spinal canal, spinal cord, key supporting structures, and the vascular supply. Because a clear understanding of these anatomical relationships is essential for explaining how spinal cord compression develops, recognizing neurological deficits, interpreting imaging studies, and planning appropriate surgical treatment. Anatomy is the foundation. By the end of this session, you should have a clear understanding of the normal cervical anatomy, the degenerative changes that lead to spinal cord compression, the major motor and sensory pathways affected by the disease, and the vascular mechanisms that contribute to neurological deterioration. If you enjoy high-yield neuroscience and neurosurgery education, please subscribe and turn on notifications. And join our community on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X for regular clinical pearls and educational updates. Let's begin. Degenerative cervical myelopathy is the most common cause of spinal cord dysfunction in adults, and it develops when age-related changes in the cervical spine gradually narrow the spinal canal and compress the spinal cord over time. Understanding the anatomy is essential. Without a clear knowledge of the normal structures and their relationships, it becomes much more difficult to explain a patient's symptoms or understand how the disease progresses. Throughout this presentation, we will relate the anatomy to clinical practice because recognizing the key structures involved helps clinicians interpret imaging accurately, localize neurological deficits during examination, and choose the most appropriate surgical approach when treatment is required. Anatomy guides clinical decisions. The cervical vertebral column is made up of 7 vertebrae, numbered C1 through C7, and it provides an effective balance between stability and mobility by supporting the head while allowing a wide range of neck movements, all while protecting the spinal cord and the cervical nerve roots as they exit the spinal canal. This anatomy is fundamental. In degenerative cervical myelopathy, most age-related changes occur in the subaxial cervical spine, particularly at the C4, C5, C5, C6, and C6, C7 levels, because these segments experience the greatest mechanical stress and motion over time, making them the sites most commonly affected by cervical spondylosis and spinal cord compression. These levels deserve special attention. The cervical spinal canal is the bony passage that houses and protects the cervical spinal cord, together with its surrounding tissues. Its boundaries are formed by the vertebral body in front, the pedicles on each side, and the laminae with the ligamentum flavum behind, while the canal also contains the meninges, epidural fat, and the epidural venous plexus. This space is critical. The size of the spinal canal has important clinical implications because a normal sagittal diameter is about 17 to 18 millimeters, whereas narrowing below 13 millimeters indicates relative stenosis, and a diameter below 10 millimeters represents absolute stenosis, both of which increase the likelihood of spinal cord compression and the development of degenerative cervical myelopathy. Smaller canals carry greater risk. The Pavlov ratio is a simple radiographic measurement used to estimate the size of the cervical spinal canal relative to the vertebral body. It is calculated by dividing the sagittal diameter of the spinal canal by the sagittal diameter of the corresponding vertebral body. This ratio is easy to apply. Unlike absolute canal measurements, the Pavlov ratio reduces the effect of image magnification and provides a more reliable assessment of cervical canal narrowing, while a value below 0.82 is associated with an increased risk of cervical myelopathy, making it a useful screening tool for both congenital and acquired cervical stenosis. Always interpret it alongside the clinical findings. The cervical intervertebral disc is a specialized structure that lies between adjacent vertebral bodies and helps maintain both stability and movement in the cervical spine. It consists of a tough outer annulus fibrosus surrounding a softer nucleus pulposus, and together these components absorb shock, distribute mechanical loads, and allow smooth motion of the neck. The disc plays a vital role. With aging, the disc gradually loses water content and height, which reduces its ability to cushion the spine. And this process may lead to disc bulging or herniation that narrows the spinal canal, making disc degeneration one of the earliest structural changes that contributes to degenerative cervical myelopathy. Degeneration begins early. Two important ligaments contribute to degenerative cervical myelopathy by narrowing the spinal canal as degenerative changes progress. Their role is significant. The posterior longitudinal ligament runs along the back of the vertebral bodies, and in some patients, it becomes ossified, a condition known as ossification of the posterior longitudinal ligament, or OPLL, which produces direct compression of the spinal cord from the front. The ligamentum flavum joins adjacent laminae at the back of the spinal canal, and with aging, it may thicken, buckle inward, or undergo calcification or ossification, while these changes, together with abnormalities of the posterior longitudinal ligament, progressively reduce the space available for the spinal cord and increase the risk of cervical myelopathy. Ligament thickening matters clinically. The facet joints are synovial joints located at the back of the cervical spine, and they help guide neck movement while maintaining spinal stability during motion. These joints are important. As degeneration progresses, the facet joints may enlarge because of hypertrophy, and in some cases, facet cysts can also develop, further reducing the available space within the spinal canal. At the same time, chronic mechanical stress and spinal instability stimulate the formation of osteophytes along the vertebral end plates, and these bony outgrowths commonly occur alongside disc degeneration and facet joint hypertrophy, producing a combined narrowing of the spinal canal that contributes to spinal cord compression in degenerative cervical myelopathy. These changes often occur together. The cervical spinal cord is organized into gray matter, which contains the nerve cell bodies, and white matter, which contains the nerve fibers that carry signals between the brain and the rest of the body. This organization is fundamental. Within the white matter are ascending sensory pathways that transmit information to the brain, and descending motor pathways that carry commands to the muscles. Because the cervical spinal cord contains nerve fibers supplying both the upper and lower limbs, compression at a single cervical level can disrupt multiple pathways at the same time, producing a combination of motor weakness, sensory disturbances, and gait impairment that often affects function well below the level of the lesion. One lesion can produce widespread deficits. The corticospinal tract is the principal descending motor pathway responsible for voluntary movement, particularly the precise and coordinated movements of the upper and lower limbs. This pathway is essential. It carries motor commands from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord, allowing smooth and purposeful muscle activity. When the corticospinal tract is compressed in degenerative cervical myelopathy, patients develop upper motor neuron signs because the normal inhibitory control of spinal reflexes is disrupted, leading to weakness, increased muscle tone, exaggerated reflexes, and a positive Babinski sign, all of which are characteristic findings during neurological examination. These signs strongly suggest corticospinal tract involvement. The dorsal columns and spinal thalamic tracts are the major sensory pathways within the cervical spinal cord, but they carry different types of information to the brain. Their functions are distinct. The dorsal columns transmit vibration, fine touch, and joint position sense, so compression of these fibers can impair proprioception, leading to sensory ataxia and poor balance, especially when patients walk. The spinal thalamic tracts carry pain and temperature sensation, and when these pathways are affected by spinal cord compression, patients may develop reduced sensation or abnormal pain perception, while the combined involvement of multiple sensory pathways helps explain the varied sensory symptoms seen in degenerative cervical myelopathy. Careful sensory examination is essential. The cervical spinal cord depends on a rich vascular network to maintain normal neurological function and support the high metabolic demands of its nerve cells. Blood supply is critical. The anterior spinal artery provides blood to the anterior 2/3 of the spinal cord through its sulcal branches, while the paired posterior spinal arteries supply the dorsal columns, and smaller intramedullary arterioles distribute blood throughout both the gray and white matter. This vascular system is especially important in degenerative cervical myelopathy because chronic spinal cord compression can reduce blood flow and impair tissue perfusion, increasing the risk of ischemic injury and contributing to progressive neurological dysfunction over time. Adequate perfusion preserves spinal cord function. Ischemia plays a major role in the progression of degenerative cervical myelopathy because chronic compression affects not only the structure of the spinal cord, but also its blood supply. Blood flow gradually declines. As tissue perfusion decreases, the spinal cord develops chronic ischemia, which damages oligodendrocytes, disrupts myelin, injures axons, and eventually leads to the loss of nerve cells through apoptosis. These biological changes occur alongside ongoing mechanical compression, and together they produce progressive spinal cord injury that becomes increasingly difficult to reverse, highlighting why timely decompression is important before permanent neurological damage develops. Compression and ischemia act together. In summary, degenerative cervical myelopathy develops as progressive degenerative changes narrow the cervical spinal canal and compress the spinal cord over time. The anatomy explains the disease. Degeneration of the intervertebral discs, ligaments, facet joints, and osteophytes acts together to reduce the available space for the spinal cord, while injury to the major motor and sensory pathways, combined with chronic ischemia, drives the neurological deficits and progressive decline seen in affected patients. A thorough understanding of cervical anatomy is essential for accurate diagnosis, careful interpretation of imaging, and effective surgical planning because it allows clinicians to recognize the source of neurological dysfunction and intervene before permanent spinal cord injury occurs. Anatomy guides better patient care. Thank you for watching. If you found this presentation helpful, join the StudyNeuro community on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X for more high-yield neuroscience education and practical clinical pearls. Please like this video, share it with colleagues, and subscribe so you never miss future lessons. See you in the next presentation.